Today I'm going to demonstrate how to shrink window film on a curved back window. The first thing I'm going to do is clean the back window. I'm going to rub my hand around, break up a little bit of dirt, dust, anything that may be on there. It's good to use your hand like this so you don't scratch the glass. If you had a lot of dirt or debris on there and you just started squeegeeing right away and it got real harsh with it, you'd scratch the glass. This breaks up the dirt a little bit. I'm going to start at the top. That way I'm bringing any dirty water or dirt from top to bottom. I'm going to go ahead and wipe my squeegee. The dust and dirt that I'm squeegeeing off ends up on the ridge of the squeegee, and if I bring it back on, I'm just adding it back to the window. I want to go ahead and clean that. The next thing I'm going to do is clean out around the window. When applying window film, you can never be too clean. Cleaner the better. The next thing I'm going to do, spray the window wet with my solution that we use in all our videos, distilled water with about 1 ounce or 1 tablespoon of baby shampoo. I'm going to grab a bounce dryer sheet. The unscented ones are better. I'm going to get it wet and rub it around the entire window, just like that. It's pretty simple. Discard that. The next thing I'm going to do is go over the tools needed for the job. We recommend these 6 tools in all our videos. There's many different tools available out there. We find that these 6 get the job done. In this case, you're going to need a few extra tools and supplies. A white Scotch-Brite pad on a back window. The reason for this pad is to clean the inside of the back window where you have the defroster lines. You can't use a razor blade like we generally do on the side door glass. I wouldn't recommend using a red, green, or any other color pad. It can scratch the glass. You're safe with a white Scotch-Brite pad. Roll of blue shop towels. You can find these pretty much anywhere. 2 to 3 inch turbo squeegee. 6 inch turbo squeegee. A triangle hard cart. A 5-way hard cart, a 1-inch box blade, and a side swiper. Make sure you don't use the 1-inch box blade on the inside of the back window where the defroster lines are. If you have a little bit of tree sap or something on the outside of the window that needs to be removed, you can use this on the outside of the window. You may or may not need that. The next thing we're going to do as we let the bounce pad dry is we're going to go inside the car and clean the back window. You'll need a blue towel. You'll need the mounting solution, or cleaning solution in this case, and the 6-inch turbo squeegee. I'm going to get in the car, spray the window wet. I'm going to towel around the edge and squeegee the window with the 6-inch turbo squeegee. Don't forget to wipe off the squeegee with each stroke, as well as wipe around the window on the inside. Now we've freed the inside of the window up from any dust or major debris. Next, I'm going to climb in the vehicle, spray it wet, and scrub it with the white Scotch-Brite pad. The next thing you'll need to do is squeegee the window off, again just as before with the 6-inch turbo squeegee. Grab a new blue shop towel, top to bottom. Some vehicles may have a brake light here in the trunk, may have a spoiler with a brake light, may also have a brake light about right here in the back window. If that's the case, and you find it kind of hard to get down along the bottom here to clean, and around that you can use the side swiper. I'll show you how to use that. Just take the tool and you're just gonna push it along the bottom, up around the brake light and down if it were there. Some vehicles you may not need the side swiper. Even with a brake light, you may be able to get around it with the 6-inch turbo squeegee. Some vehicles, the glass is angled. It's a little tighter to get down in there. You can switch back and forth between the tools, and between those two you'll be able to get to the bottom of about any back window. The next thing I'm going to do is dry out the rest of the bounce pad. You could just let it dry. It may take 5 or 10 minutes for the sake of the video. I'm going to dry it out with the heat gun now. hold the cord off the car so I don't scratch the vehicle. Just dry out the bounce pad. The reason this is important is the back window needs to be dry when I apply the film on the outside to shrink the film to fit the curve. If you leave the window wet, it defeats the purpose of the bounce pad. The purpose of the bounce pad is allow the film to float as you shrink it, so you can shrink it uniformly. I'll demonstrate that in a second. The next thing I'm going to do is what's called the traditional H pattern. Spray a paper towel wet with your solution. I'm going to come down the side, across the middle, and down the side, like an H. I'm going to grab my back window pattern. Need to determine which side the liner is on. When shrinking window film, you always want the liner facing out so you don't scratch the film. Let me go ahead and grab my 5-way hard card. The pattern doesn't need to be lined up exactly with the window to shrink it. When you apply it on the inside, you'll want to make sure it's lined up, positioned correctly with no gaps. For shrinking purposes, as long as it's close, that'll work just fine. The first thing you want to do is tack the film through the middle. I like to use my hand first so that I don't crease the film. I'm going to come through the middle here and up the side. The reason for the H pattern with the wet paper towel is so that when I lay the film here, it actually sticks. This is floating freely on the bounce pad. I'm going to pull tight through the middle again here. What the H pattern does is it brings the slack and it quarters the window. You end up with a quarter, 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 quarter. The factory edge is top and bottom. You don't want to shrink to the side. By tacking the pattern on the side, it does two things. One, it quarters the window. Two, it brings the slack down to the bottom and up to the top. The next thing I'm going to do is grab my heat gun, make sure it's on the highest setting. Let it warm up. And then I'm going to shrink the film in quarters from the center out. I'm going to put the cord over my shoulder. I'm going to start in the middle. I'm just going to kind of wiggle the heat gun back and forth about 2 to 3 inches off the film. As I shrink the film, I'll see the film shrivel up. As soon as it begins to shrivel up, I'll lay it flat with my hard card. It takes only about 1 to 3 seconds in each area. You can swirl the heat gun or just keep it moving back and forth. Always keep a motion on the heat gun. If you hold it in one spot, you'll burn a hole right through the film. One important thing to note is as I'm shrinking the window film, I'm not leaving the hard card in front of the heat gun, I'm pulling it up. If you heat the edge of the hard card up and leave it in front of the heat gun for too long, it'll melt the edge of the card or it'll start sticking to the film. I always try to lean over the car and not into the car. Make sure I don't have a belt or anything that's going to scratch the paint. I'm going to jump back over here. Those are the 2 bottom quarters. I'm going to start from the center, come down to the lowest point. Switch hands. You can keep the heat gun in the same hand. I can use both hands. I like this switch hands, a little more comfortable for me. I always go to the lowest point. This is pretty important here. So you can see this slack here. I've started from the center out. The angle of the film that has been shrunk to the angle of the film that has not is coming at an angle like this. Generally, you want to come down to the lowest point and work your way up. You start shrinking up and work your way up a little bit. Kind of come to the lowest point. You'll find it's a little bit easier. If you come back over here and start shrinking it up, that'll work. Just a little more difficult to do it that way. If you find, this is an important tip as well, if you find that the film, as you start shrinking, it begins to have you get to an area where there's quite a bit of slack, and it kind of starts to come together, just go ahead and stop, take your hand, and kind of run it up through and divide that up a little, and maybe move this slack over just a little bit. And that's how you shrink a back window on a curved window. I'm now going to show you how to apply the window film to the inside. We've already cleaned this window. It's clean and ready to go. The first thing I'm going to do is get in the car and spray the window wet. I don't want to flood the top edge. Dust and dirt that maybe build up in there may run down onto the glass. I just want to mist the top and then go ahead and get it pretty heavy on the rest of the window. Then I'm going to come outside the car and I'm going to remove the liner, spray the film, and take it to the inside. You want to remove the liner at an angle. Make sure to hold the film down as you pull the liner off. The film has a PS or pressure sensitive adhesive. It's sticky to the touch. If it sticks together, curls over, touches itself, then you're done. You won't get it back apart. I spray from the bottom up. That way there's less time for any dirt to come down on the pattern. You can spray quite a bit down here. It's just going to run off. And then you want to go fairly light on the top. I grab the pattern from the side I'm going to enter the vehicle on, fill it up, reach over and grab it. Lay the piece of film on my arms, and then take it into the vehicle. Now I'm going to spray the window wet. I'm going to break up the bounce pad and clean the outside of the glass so I can see what I'm doing better on the inside. when I brought the pattern into the vehicle, I slid it down to the bottom, then stretch it out. You want to check your edges all the way around, make sure that the pattern is positioned correctly and you don't have gaps. So you can slide it left to right, up to down, adjust it, and look at all the edges, make sure that it's right where it needs to be. I'm now going to climb inside the vehicle, spray the pattern wet with the same solution. I'm going to squeegee it out from the center out with the 6-inch turbo squeegee. I'm now done with the 6-inch turbo squeegee, and I'm going to move to the side swiper. You can see we squeegeed out the moisture from the center out. That worked well. I'm now going to use the side swiper tool to get the bottom few inches of this window. I'm now done with the side swiper, and for now the solution. I'm going to grab my 5-way hard card and a blue shop towel. If you notice on the hard card there's an edge that's bigger. I like to use the wider edge. Wrap the towel around. Make sure you don't have any wrinkles, you have a nice smooth edge. The reason for the towel on the hard card is so you don't scratch the film when carding it. I'm going to use the same pattern working from the center out as I used with the turbo squeegee. I like to use the blue towel to wipe the water off on the back deck on the inside. I'll go ahead and do that now. As you can see here, the window is almost complete. You may have a couple little areas, as you notice, we like to call these fingers. They may pop up. Usually you'll only get one or two, or none. How you address these is you heat them up from the outside. As the adhesive begins to get tacky, it'll get stickier and you can card it down. I'll show you how to do that. Warm up your heat gun. Give them about 10 to 30 seconds of heat, depending on the temperature of the glass and the environment that you're in. If it's a really hot day, you happen to be outside or in the garage with no air conditioning and it's hot and the glass is hot, it will only take a little heat and then you can climb in and push those out. Colder environment, inside a shop, inside a garage, you'll need a fair amount of heat. I'm going to take the 5-way hard card and I'm going to climb in there and push those down. As the film begins to cure, the adhesive will get tackier with time. The tack time, depending on the temperature of the glass, is anywhere from 1 to 10 minutes. I've pushed a few of those out. They're beginning to tack, so I'm going to climb outside and repeat the process of heating a couple of those up and pushing them out until they don't come back. I'll go ahead and do that once more. Just got a couple little spots. If it's a little harder to reach the bottom in there with this tool, this one is a little bit longer. You may hold it in your hand, reach the bottom. I'm going to take this one in. The last thing I'm going to do is clean the window. I go ahead and mist my towel. The window's fairly clean. I've cleaned it already. While I'm doing this, I'm going to examine the window for anything else that might need a little more attention. And if you get a couple little fingers or one of them may pop back up, just repeat that process. Don't forget to like our video and